Well, let's turn now to our coverage of COVID-19. The federal government is asking Ontarians to help test out its national contact tracing app. COVID Alert is designed to warn Canadians if they've been in close contact with someone who's tested positive. And to talk about it, let's bring in Steve Niles, who's been looking at details for us so far. Steve, good morning to you. After some delays, people are finally getting a chance to test drive this app. So what's been the response so far?
More than 5,000 individuals now have this app on their phone. No reported bugs at this time, but it is just the first hours of the testing, the beta testing of this app. One app that many people are hoping could help identify those who have been exposed to COVID-19. The app is pretty simple in its design. It tracks where the device is being and if it's been in close contact with any other devices that also have that app installed. And because our devices are always with us, it seems these days, that means people who have the app on their phone, that means these individuals have been close to each other as well. Should somebody test positive for COVID-19, they would voluntarily go into the app and say, yes, I have tested positive for COVID-19. That would then send a message to any of the other devices that had been in close contact with that device over the previous day saying, hey, you may have been exposed to COVID-19. So it's a pretty simple in how it works in its design. It is, of course, just the trial stages of the app for the time being. The next 2 to 4 days, people will be using the app. They'll be able to report any bugs, glitches that they have with it. And to really make sure that it's working, the app is actually going to be sending some false alerts to people just to see how this works. So a lot of hope being put into this app that it could help identify those who have been exposed. But of course, Michael, there are concerns.
Concerns, as you say, even though it's Ontario that's essentially beta testing, this is a national app, and many Canadians have expressed privacy concerns when it comes to an app like this. So talk to us about that one.
There are the concerns about that it could give away too much information. There are also concerns that it doesn't collect enough information. So more on that in a second. Let me explain. As for the concerns that it could be collecting too much information, Anne Cavoukian, who's the former Information and Privacy Commissioner for the province of Ontario, she said she had been in multiple meetings with Apple, who had been working on this subject. She said that they did talk about privacy, and she said that because the app works via Bluetooth, no personal information is being swapped. Here's what she said.
Bluetooth beacons, they change every 15 minutes. So there's no ability for someone to say, oh, well, we located this person, we've got the identifier, we've got the keys, because they're constantly changing. They also called it exposure notification, not a contact tracing app, because they want to make it clear to people, you're not being traced or tracked or surveilled. What the purpose of this app is to enable you to be notified if you've been exposed to someone who is COVID-19 positive.
Now, there are concerns on the other side of this that I alluded to, that because it doesn't collect personal information, this app might not be effective. A lot of this information, this criticism coming from Niagara Region's acting chief medical officer is named Dr. Mustafa Hajiri. He said because the app won't tell public health officials who has tested positive, it can't start a good old-fashioned contact tracing stage that you would by contacting individuals humanly. Nor would public health be figuring out who has tested positive for COVID-19 because of this app. Hajiri says that in other countries, like they point to Singapore, South Korea, that they have very similar apps, but that one collects a lot of personal information. So he says that app is more effective. He has concerns that this one doesn't collect enough and therefore won't be effective. Michael?
Okay, Steve, thank you for that.
You're welcome.